Hello, beautiful humans. You are tuned into the Sassy Chats with me, BX Sassy, and this is the final extra special bonus episode just for you, lovely lot. Thank you for subscribing to the Sass. If you are new here, then buckle up, strap in, because we're in for a ride. This is not the space for small talk. We go in deep and we talk about those things that tend to just appear as whispers behind closed doors. Today's episode is about ghosting and when a certain someone ignored me. This is one of those conversations that might make you feel uncomfortable, it might make you think, and it will definitely make you feel less alone in this messy, magical world that we live in. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, relax. Let's hear about being dismissed when all you want is to stay. Being turned down, dismissed or cut off can be a wildly uncomfortable experience that we are forever having to confront. Whether it's a job, a community, or a potential partner, it can bring every insecurity to the surface and become a workout for our sense of confidence. So in today's message, I share how being dismissed by a past partner knocked me down and forced me back up to dip into my reserve of self-love and egoless acceptance. Let me take you back to July, when I had the blissful experience of meeting someone who matched my sass in dance moves, in intellect, in kink, in spirituality, and in a willingness to say yes to adventures. The connective tissue between us grew from a first date that lasted 5 days and blossomed into a deeply vulnerable space of shared conversation, experiences and sensuality. Our friendship grew between dates and we settled on describing ourselves as dance/play partners. As my life revolves around a steady interest in sex, kink and intimacy, I found a lot of joy and healing in this partner's sensual side. The way we engaged together was guided by his choice to be celibate, which for him meant no ejaculation and no penetration. This gave us time and space to explore one another through conversation and different forms of touching and arousal. We were both in a process of shedding, him as a worn-out dom and me as a wounded sub. And so it was easy to share stories, identify feelings and play beyond the limits of the past. When looking back at the way we navigated our time, I have a deep sense of gratitude for how much safety and trust he offered me. The fullness of his presence and how open he was to develop healthy practices between us of clear communication was radical for me. Whenever I was hurt or a comment left me feeling uncomfortable, he would clock it and take time to speak it through. Whenever we had a jolt of tension or miscommunication, we would discuss it, and in doing so I felt supported, seen and heard rather than judged, neglected or dismissed. This felt healthy. This felt healing. Then something changed, and he needed a break to focus on himself. I understood he was under a lot of pressure. I also understood that he was an all or nothing kind of guy. In fact, his all-in attitude had been refreshing to witness. It gave me confidence to be myself, to trust him and not to worry about the need for reassurance. However, when he was all out, boy oh boy, I wasn't ready for the absence I'd feel or the neglect that filled my soul. Despite communicating with confidence that I'd be here for him post-break, a smaller, more scared voice inside of me led me to delete his number off my phone, wipe all our conversations and block him from multiple angles. This contradiction of thought and action speaks volumes about the panic that rocked through my body at the prospect of being rejected or dismissed by someone. Deleting his number was a way of preventing the chaos from bubbling up inside me and landing on his door. It also made me feel like I had the upper hand, trying to trick him into, trying to trick myself into believing I didn't care. I didn't need him. I had dismissed him before he could dismiss me. 3 days later, when a sense of calm arrived, I found his number in a group chat and sent him a message full of joy, encouragement and hope, because that was how I had decided to feel, blindly hopeful. I didn't need to panic. This was someone who had shown me I could trust him, who had expressed an invested interest in me, who had been both vulnerable with me and led me to be vulnerable with him. The bond had been strong, so I pushed my doubts to the side and continued to creep into his silent WhatsApp feed until 10 days passed and once again I no longer felt secure or safe. A phone call with him made me realise this really was not about me. That the person I'd experienced so much joy with was overwhelmed, dysregulated, and trying his best to avoid burnout. I moved out of my sulk, found my compassion, and felt myself recenter, partly on the premise that he would be in touch by the end of the month, when we had planned to be away together. His final words, though, had been, "I don't want you to think about me, or miss me, or consider me in your plans." I tried so hard to live by those words, but the request to dismiss someone whose willing companionship had transformed my sense of worthiness, whose communication style had been fundamental in my own healing, and whose existence in my life had brought so much joy, just left me stone cold. The cloak of sadness weighed down when I noticed he'd deleted the shared calendar we'd set up to make plans and unsubscribed from my newsletter. And by the time our trip away arrived, the silence was too heavy. I aimed to have a graceful goodbye, an elegant closure, and a hope that friendship could be maintained. But that got bulldozed by my anger in spite of having had the safety and trust withdrawn. I felt let down, misled, and foolish for my eagerness to connect with someone who no longer matched my feelings. He told me kink, BDSM and sex were no longer things he could be around, and that he had connected more with himself since we'd stopped communicating, that all he wanted to be was on his own. I support his journey of self-connection and wish only blessings and creative discovery for him because it can be life-changing. I experienced that firsthand, having spent 7 years focusing acutely on myself, often in isolation, working through the sludge of getting to know all the raw, authentic parts and confront what is looking back in the mirror. But sometimes you have to put the tyres on the road to see how much you've learned, and this part-time partnership was a rare and magical moment of alignment that showed me both the healing and the trauma. It allowed me space to transform in real time with another human, and that felt like an essential part of my process. As I look back, I am so grateful for this summer lover. I got to dance with them and be heart to heart with them and snuggle them and cuddle them. I'm so grateful for all I learned while being in partnership with another soul, and for the dreams it allowed me to access and believe in. It made me hungry for more kindness, more connection, and more magical memories with someone I can love. So I leave you with these 3 questions, my lovelies. What does the ideal date look and feel like? Can you list 10 ways you enjoy receiving love, care, and attention? And what is a boundary that you're constantly letting be overstepped? That's where I'm going to leave it. I'm really grateful for having you here with me today, for being someone who has subscribed to the sassy way of life. If you could do a big one for me, it would be to pass this on. Pass on the sass, whether that's the YouTube channel at _the sassy show, maybe it's my Instagram, same handle, _the sassy show, or me, BX Sassy 2. Or maybe you want to listen along on your favourite major streaming platform. Oh, listen to The Sassy Show. It's all about the sass, babe. I'm really grateful for having you here. If any of this has hit a nerve, felt tender, then know that you're in the right place, and continue to read over on Substack every week as I come and join you with more sass and more uncensored, beautiful photos. Until then, stay sassy, my lovely. Stay sassy.